Hello, my friends. Decided to go to sleep, but I read some of the comments under the last video. Then I said something about Merz, and oh my god, there are so many comments that I called him a bureaucrat politician, that I don't like Merz and his attitude. It's relative to, call Ukrainians to stay in their country and fight. He called Zelensky to force Ukrainians to stay in the country and fight for Ukraine. Yeah, and so many comments that, yes, there should be lowering of the mobilization age. The Ukrainians should fight. How long should Ukraine fight? Let's answer first this question. How long? Ukraine is fighting for years. And each year, Ukraine obtains less and less military support, despite all of the previous guarantees, Budapest Memorandum and other stuff, yeah? Ukraine sacrificed its own men, women on the front lines. Russia attacks Ukraine every night and day. Today there was the strike on Kiev. And how long? With every year, Ukraine obtains less and less military support. Yeah, this year it's Donald Trump mainly, yeah. Because of him, Europeans are forced to purchase military equipment for Ukraine, but of course they purchase less than direct military support from the United States of America. But at first, let's answer the question why. Why Putin became Putin like he is. Who made him like that? Europeans. Angela Merkel, yeah, it wasn't Merz, but it was Germany, all right? It was Germany. There were other countries of European Union who were in this gas and oil needle of Russia. Cheap resources, fossil fuels. Russia accumulated those funds. Russia became greater. They invested lots of the stuff in the army, also using European technologies. As you know, Thales company, they used the spare parts for Russian fighter jets, for aiming equipment of their tanks, BMPs, and so on. And still somehow they received those things for the army. Yeah, why the third countries? Do you know why Germany, why other countries, they expanded their sales, increased their sales to the third countries like Kyrgyzstan, for example? Why? And some other countries which continue to trade with Russia normally. How Russia obtains the spare parts for their drones, Western components. Even Zelensky says that Russia produces military tools using Western components. Okay, military support of Ukraine. Russia obtains more money from NATO countries, from European countries, for steel, for their fossil fuels. Russia obtains more than Ukraine for its military support. Again, Russia obtains more from Western allies of Ukraine than Ukraine obtains for its military support. Chancellor Merz, before being elected, he promised, I give Ukraine towers. Some people say, oh, Dennis, I'm going to vote for Merz because he promised towers for Ukraine. I said, well, Merz is a nice guy. He will support Ukraine with everything. What we see. Okay, Germany really helps Ukraine. But is it enough? No, it is not enough. And with the current funds that European Union has, probably somewhere in February, it's going to be depleted. Like, Ukrainian economy is also dependent on European Union countries, on other allies, and if Russian assets would not be confiscated by, or are not being confiscated by Brussels, somewhere in February, Ukraine may be absolute bankrupt. Economy will be not functioning. Absolutely, all of the spheres will be stopped. It will be not possible to live in that country any longer. From moral point of view, those people who call Ukrainians, okay, to lower mobilization age down to 18 years old. If it was your son, I don't know, brother, 18 years old, someone, would you still support that? Is the war happening in your country? Do you know the demographics of Ukraine? Have you seen this graph? If Ukraine, do you think Zelensky really wants? Why he's not lowering this mobilization age to 18 years old? Do you know why he opened the borders? At least here, I agree with Zelensky that he opened the borders for younger generation. That he doesn't lower the mobilization age because it's gonna be the end of Ukraine, and there will be no one left. Absolutely. So what's the point of defending the country if you lower the age and you extinct as the nation? There was the crisis in Ukraine in 90s. People didn't give enough births. There was the huge crisis with the birth rate in 90s after the collapse of the Soviet Union. And if you mobilize those people who were born in 90s, or in early 2000s, millennials. Ukraine is gone as a country. Without population, country doesn't exist. Who will be there in Ukraine? Some guys from Bangladesh, India, new Ukraine. What are we fighting for? Not we, I'm not fighting. I'm covert, desert. Some people, well, I'm not deserter because I was not in Ukrainian army to be deserted from it. But you may call me a coward, draft dodger. I'm quite okay with that one. I even filmed a video on my trash channel about that. So, kind of interesting comments I read about me saying about Mertz, and some people say it's immediate ban. Don't bite the hand which is feeding you. It's like, I'm feeding Ukraine. You should be grateful. What the hell Ukraine should be grateful for? For betrayal? For not closing Ukrainian airspace? Then everyone asked for it. Russia kills Ukrainians every day, and Europe looks at it and purchases Russian fossil fuels. Trump doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't know the difference between Russia and Ukraine. He doesn't know the difference between aggressor and a victim. And you tell me, oh, we should be grateful. Europe help. Fuck no. Europe should help Ukraine because it is their responsibility also. If you want Ukraine not to join Russia, and it's the possible scenario, and attack Europe, it's gonna be that. If Ukraine loses it, it's gonna be a Chechen war, Chechen scenario. Then Russia occupied Chechnya. They put there Kadyrov. They mobilized Chechen for Kadyrov battalion, TikTok, whatsoever, and they fight against other country. The same is going to happen in Ukraine. Now it looks impossible how Ukrainians could fight for Russia. In 1999, it was impossible for Chechens to fight for Russia. They were fighting for many, many years for Russia, sorry, not for Russia, against Russia. And finally, now they're singing Russian anthem. They're praising Putin. They are running with the Russian flags around, and they're fighting, really fighting. That's the question how they fight, but they fight for Russian Federation. Kadyrov himself was fighting against Russia, and now he's supporting Putin. Do you think that this scenario is not possible in Ukraine? No. It is possible, pretty much, if Ukraine loses this war. That's why if Europe is sane, it should increase the military support, provide towers and other stuff, maybe even troops. They were speaking about battalions of legionnaires or peacekeeping missions. But no, now they put their tongues in their arses. So yeah, I'm frustrated because the situation is not developing well for Ukraine. We see it on the front lines. And why am I so critics? Why am I criticizing Europeans? Because they built Putin. They have this responsibility. They've continued to feed Putin, purchasing Russian fossil fuels, and even pressing Ukraine to extinct, fighting against Russia. So probably the best scenario is to extinct Ukraine, and that's it. And that's how we stop Russia. We are in our European fancy house. Let's give them some weapons and let them fight. That and the longer the fight, the better it is for us because they exhaust Russia. Yeah, is it like that? Europe. Guys, I'm very frustrated, very frustrated. And yeah, if coming back to Chechen scenario, it may work, and Putin is looking to it. He is going to put the puppet government, he's going to provide his pro-Russian propaganda on occupied territories. There is, let's be honest, not a huge resistance. And after so many years, few years, Russians will build new generation of not Ukrainians. Yeah, there will be ex-Ukrainians, but they will think that they are Russians. The same could be in other Ukraine, excluding maybe western territories of Ukraine, western part. So hearing those comments that people like Merz, like he's freaking bureaucrat official. Do you really like this politician? Admire him or what? Come on. They don't give a damn. I mean, in general, European politicians, they don't give a damn. Look at those Brussels guys who are more fearful for their money. No, we're going to close Russian assets. No, because we're afraid to pay maybe in the future somewhere, decades ahead, if Russia somehow wins the international court. They don't see the threat for Europe. Well, some of them may see this threat as Merz, but his solution is not to increase the military support like that hugely wide. They increase, but just a little from what is needed. They want to force Ukraine to sacrifice everyone. If you see Russian losses, like 1 million Russian losses, yeah, in Ukraine it is at least 400,000, at least. So yeah, just an explanation and my rage about the situation. About Germany, I know it's a long time passed since the Second World War, but 9 million Ukrainians lost their lives. Ukraine didn't attack Germany back then. Germany attacked Ukraine. 9 million life losses in Ukraine alone. So I think Germany may own something for Ukraine, yeah, in this case. I understand that Nazis are gone, there was denazification, demilitarization. But I think Germans, they own Ukraine something, I guess. So, not Germans, I mean, not the nation, but the government, for sure. At least Taurus. And munition. We are not asking for deploying army against Russians, yeah? Like our politicians. They're not asking for that. Guys, I'm frustrated because of that. And people who say that, oh, I criticize Zelensky, I criticize Europeans. I give you facts why I criticize, okay? If you don't support what I say, I'm not holding you here. Those are the facts. Okay? Good night.